Well, I'm back in front of my computer and doing another software video on Lamination Pro, and that's because I'm not ready to stand on my bad ankle. I see the doctor in a week. Whatever they say, I'm going to follow those orders. If I'm ready, I'll start doing what I can. I'm not sure that's going to be standing in front of the lathe, but I hope it is. But again, I'll just follow the doctor's orders. I want to thank everyone for all of your concerns and comments about how I'm doing with my beat up ankle. I guess I'll call it a beat up ankle because it sure feels beat up. But you know, I'm doing okay. It doesn't hurt now. It's just kind of an inconvenience getting around, and I don't want to feel sorry for myself because I know of people that are going through way worse things than I am right now. So I'm just going to plug along and do what I can do. Anyways, let's get going, and I'll tell you what's going to happen here. We're going to do a second generation lamination for a feature ring, and what we're going to do is hit continue, and this is what comes up. Comes up with 5 rows, but I want to do 3. I want to make this as easy as we can, and I want to make the top and bottom board symmetrical. This says symmetric. Now it's symmetrical, and I'm going to change that center one to bloodwood because I have already made a turning that I'm going to fit this in Woodturner Pro so you can see what it looks like and how you can make this fit in a certain place and at least get it really close and then work out any issues you might have. All right, I'm going to hit continue, and you're going to see a long strip that's got the 3 pieces of wood there, and then there's a 30-degree angle on it, and that's what I have set here. We're going to keep the 30-degree angle. The width of this kerf, that is what you decide for your blade. If you go to File, Options, I can choose whatever size I want. If I'm using a wide blade, that's 1/8 inch. If you don't even want to see the blade, which you could do this without seeing the blade, as a matter of fact, I usually do, or you can make it real small and it would look like just like a line. But you'd have to center your blade on that kerf right there. For what we're doing, I want that kerf to show up because when we go to the second generation, it actually becomes kind of hard to see. This actually becomes an advantage to being able to see what you have. So we're going to go with that. The strip's 1/2 inch. Let me show you what that looks like in my CAD program. I think I'll be able to show you what's going on easier because I'll have 3D parts. And I've drawn this up. That's that strip again right there. Now you see it's actually a 3D image. And it's always handy to see things in 3D. It's not the same color, and the reason is depending on the background and depending on what color I choose, it can almost be the same color as the background. I do this so I can see it, not because I'm trying to make that shade of color in there. So that's what that would look like. Now let me put those same kerf lines in there. There's the lines, and these are actually individual pieces that I modeled up and stacked them together. So that's what that looks like there. And let's see if we're at the same point here, and we are. So we're going to go to the first generation. Looking at the first generation, forget about these lines now. Those lines are the next cuts you make for generation 2. Come over here to the right where I have my cursor there. From here to here, that is how wide that would be if you were making a chevron. And it's kind of narrow. That's the default. It comes in at 1/2 inch. I'm going to show you can leave this, and when you're finally done with the part, you can adjust it to fit maybe a pre-existing size and the amount of segments that you decided you want to use. Let's go back to the CAD program. And by the way, this is called BobCAD, and I purchased it a number of years ago to work with my CNC machine for modeling and sending the code to the CNC machine. It wasn't real cheap, but it wasn't like a lot of them. Today it's gotten a lot more expensive, so I'm still using the old version. So I went back to Lamination Pro, and we just have the basic board glued up. I'm going to show you what happens here. I'm going to skip back to my CAD program. I think it'll be easier to see it when we go to Generation 1. Because once you go to Generation 1, it kind of shows them already glued together, and you just have to assume you know which way you do that. So I'm going to show you exactly how you do it. So there is your cuts for Generation 1. They're cut 30 degrees. They're also cut at the width that you come up with in this little box. Going back to my CAD program, here's one of those pieces that was cut out of that glue up strip. 30 degrees. You take that and basically stand it straight up, tilt it 30 degrees to the left, and here it is here on the left side of this, and you're looking at a chevron. So when you do stand this one up, you flip another one over on this edge here, and it gets a mirror image of it. You now have what you need to make Lamination 1, and that's a chevron. We'll go ahead and zoom out, and to go to Lamination 2, the Generation 2, you'll have multiple sections that are glued up like I showed you over here, like that. You glue all those together, and then you need to make another cut at 30 degrees. And I'm showing you here because I also think it's easier. The way you do it is you take the declining edge that's on this side here. What I did was I just drew an X from this corner to this corner, and from that corner down to that corner. That becomes the center of the whole piece. Then you draw a very accurate 30-degree angle, or set your saw up to cut right through the center of that. And that's the center of the blade. You're not trying to leave that line. You have to go divide the width of the blade and cut right through the center. Then you'll have those pieces. Go back over here where you can now see what I'm talking about. There are all of our pieces, and here's that X again. These lines just automatically show up if you're doing the second generation. So that little piece that you're looking at here, I'm going to show you what that looks like in my CAD program. So we'll go back over there, and we're going to turn this off, and I'll bring this one up, and there is one of those pieces. Here it is, like that. This is what it looked like over in Lamination Pro. It may not be exact because I just kind of sketched out this piece in my CAD program, not using these dimensions. But if you look at this with the little ear sticking up and one down here, you've kind of got the same thing here and here. So you do the same thing as I showed you for Generation 1. You rotate that up this direction, and going over here, you've went ahead and mirrored the second piece and glued it on this side, like that. That's pretty much all there is to it. Now that is for your second generation right there. And we'll go ahead and bring that up. That is what it looks like. And you don't glue this together. I'm just showing you what this looks like if you were, flatten that back out. If you can imagine that wrapping around your turning. So that's all the segments together. If you want to go to Generation 3, then you have to glue it like that. We're not doing that at all. We're just sticking with this right here. So you make 12 of these and get the angle on the side. You now have a second generation ring. That's pretty much it right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and import this into Woodturner Pro. So this is actually a turning that I did a year or two ago, and what I've done is changed this section here. I took the feature ring out that I made for that one. I'll put a picture at the end of what this looks like, and then I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. what I need to do here is find out how tall this is. It's 2.75, and you would do this on anything you're working on to make a feature ring. Try to make something that fits, that comes from Lamination Pro, at least as close as you can. And the edge length is 2.28. So we'll go back to Lamination Pro, and this is too tall, and of course I knew that. It's at 4 inches. I'm going to change that to 2.75. And that just pulled itself down, and it's going to cut everything away that we need to do. And then right now the repeating unit is 1.94, and I think I wanted 2.28. So we're going to change this and see if we can get to there. That's 2 1/16, and let's see. We did it. 2.28. It's exact. And I had a little bit to do with that. But if you're close, you want to keep what you have here in Lamination Pro and just glue the ring up and then make adjustments afterwards. Over here where it says shift the region, you want to click that and it'll bring it in there and you'll see everything you're cutting. So now here's something you got to watch out for, and I've done this a couple times not correct, but you need to highlight where you want that feature ring to go. If I put it here, it's going to try to fit there. So double click that so you can see it's drawn a box around it. Go back to Lamination Pro and say Export to Wood Turner Pro. So I've done that, and I've clicked on here, and you can see I've got 2.28 and 2.75 exactly. I'm going to give it a name, and you can call it feature ring. I just put a 1 on here because I don't really want to save this. I'm going to click it, and it says would I like the instructions, and I'll say yes. There's our feature ring right there. Fit perfect. Here's the instructions. See, I got a bunch of them in here. It's 1. So I have ash and bloodwood, and the first generation says to cut it at 23/30 seconds, and the second generation, cut the generation board 30 degrees, cut through the center like I showed you of the strips with the declining pattern. Flip left hand strips to the right and glue them together, and you will now have your feature ring pieces, and you cut your angle on it based on the number of segments you're using. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to close this stuff down. I'll come back and we'll wrap it all up. This is the turning that I did, and I used this in Woodturner Pro to show you the second generation feature ring like this. And I do know that not everybody likes software videos or tool reviews, but at least for another week, that's what I'm stuck doing. And as soon as I can, I'll be back to doing wood turning because I am looking forward. I do appreciate you watching this one, and I'm going to give you a sneak preview of next week's video because I think it's going to be pretty cool. So, till the next time, I'll see you later.